let me tell you.
Speaking of the Midwest, how did you come into the ballroom scene?
Well, when I was...
Hold up. Terrible! Let's take it back a little bit. Let's take it back. What were some of the clubs that you were experiencing around that time, right before, or during the ballroom scene?
My first gay club was actually the Paradise Garage.
Yes!
Followed by, yes.
Now, is it okay to say that's iconic?
Let me just put it this way. Paradise Garage, anybody who used to go to Paradise Garage, baby, you have to give a moment of silence. So can we get a quick moment here?
Yes, damn.
Yes.
Let's put a pause to the music.
That bitch was everything.
Go ahead.
My first experience was actually... Oh, I did my moment. You better catch up, bro.
All right.
Let me stop.
Well, I'm with you. I'm back.
But that's when I honestly got seriously exposed. I had been exposed to ballroom and voguing back at the pier and on Christopher Street in Washington Square Park. We used to go hang out there, and I would come take the Long Island train into the city, go over to Jersey to my mom's house for the weekend, and I'd meet up with some of my friends, and we'd come back over, and we'd hang out in Christopher Street, where they had the warehouse. It was an abandoned warehouse, used to be a leather warehouse, and I was so naive. I had no clue what was going on back then. And they would jump from car to car, and I'm like standing around with this little kid running around with this big old boombox radio. And I swear that damn thing weighed more than I did. And I'm not joking. I'm dead serious. And I met these people that hung out there. There was this one lesbian girl. Hispanic lesbian girl. I cannot remember her name, but every time she saw me, she would just like pick me up and all kind of little stuff. And we just be having a good old time. So I hung out with the Latinos mostly when I was in the city. And, we would get a little card and we'd pull my radio around because I was the one that had the radio. And I remember hearing that I was supposed to have been this poor little rich kid from Long Island that lived in a mansion and all this other crazy stuff. But I heard this, I was like, really? I was like, okay, whatever. Because I had this big old boombox. Whatever.
I had my boombox days, so...
I think this was around like between 80 and 81, somewhere around there. Oh, God, I shouldn't have said that. Can you erase that part? So people have been trying to figure out my age for a minute, but, not like I'm ashamed, but, get to be my age and look this good, then hey.
You look great. We're going to pay it because you look lovely. We ain't here for that.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
But anyway, so, that's silly. So, I would just meet these different people, and they would, like, be out there voguing, because I actually was a hip-hop person. I did b-boy, breakdancing, popping. Popping with electric booty was my thing.
You was a b-boy dancer?
Yeah.
That's my thing. Can I get a shout out? I live to watch people break dance. It's one of my passions.
I was getting... Yes, I have something that was taller than me.
Some new stuff.
They would take me into the club, put me into the side doors. I've actually been to Moment of Silence, Scrooge, The Loft. I got snuck in there several times for battles. Yeah. and I was eating the kids.
Yeah.
No shade.
Who were some of the people who... Did you know any of these people that you were battling?
A lot of the people I didn't know, because I was like the secret weapon for the little crew that I was in, and I was being pulled in different crews every time that they see me out in Washington Square Park, and I'd be popping against them and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, blah, 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 like, okay, whatever. And while we're doing these little, because like on the weekends, you go out, you make your little change. You got your little hustle, get your little cardboard, and you pop, put your little hat down. And I started noticing the boulders. And the B-boys and the breakers and stuff, they were making fun of the boulders, and the boulders were making fun of the B-boys. And I'm sitting there, like, just soaking it all in. And he's like, oh, no, you don't want to be around now. And I'm like, whatever, you know. I'm like, I'm really drawn to what they're doing in the performance. And then the first time I saw somebody click, I was like, oh, that is sick. And I tried to figure out how to do it. I couldn't. I don't know who the person was. So I asked questions. You know, little kid, you know, inquisitive, don't know any better. I'm asked, how do you do that? So they showed me. I was like, damn, that hurts. He's like, duh, yeah.
Wow.
and that's how I got introduced to the original Extravaganza. Was I met them at Paradise Garage. At the time, they were called. They had walked around with these belt buckles that said boutique, and I thought that was the coolest thing. And I boutique.
Oh, okay.
They were like these belt buckles they had custom made with the letters and stuff like that. And it was like Danny Ian and those guys. And I was like, just jaw dropping watching them Vogue. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, you know, I'm always my little pop and living boogie thing. And I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking of this shit. And I'm watching this. And again, I'm like caught up in it. I'm like, okay, I got to learn this stuff. I go back to school. And that.
I'm just gagging about the whole pop and locking thing and the extravaganza thing. Like, I'm gagging right now.
What?
Well, first of all, you made it seem like you had to crack a couple bones and stuff to do the pop locking thing. And popping electric boogie. I mean, this is like, it's almost like cutting, but there's a lot more ticking involved in doing electric stroke type effects with your body and just making your arms wave in different ways, which is very similar to what a lot of the Voguers were doing, back then. Wow.
But they were adding a high element of stretch and contortion, which I was really getting drawn into. I liked the shapes that they were making. There was a lot of stuff that they were doing that I really liked, and I started incorporating that into my popping. So I go Paradise Garage, and that's what I meet them. And I'm like just really entranced about the entire thing. So it's like I'm trying to pick it up, but I'm still doing a lot of popping and stuff. And then I started hanging out in the summer down in Washington Square Park. And I'm just soaking this stuff up. And then I found out that there was a club that everybody went to, which was called Peter Rabbit. Peter Rabbit, let me just clarify. Peter Rabbit was a dump. It was a hustling bar. Again, I'm dumb. I didn't know. I grew up very sheltered, so please excuse me. So I'm in there and I'm watching.
You know how the girls are. They'll be like, come to this club, and they won't tell you what it's about. They want you to figure it out.
Exactly. That's like I'm hanging out at the pier, you know, when it gets dark. And I'm watching my friends going in and out these cars and coming back. And, you know, I'm like disappearing. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? You know, well, actually, I'm not saying what the fuck is going on. I'm too stupid. Because that's just not the environment that I grew up in. It's not what I'm accustomed to. So I didn't know what was going on. I'm not an innocent kid. Not like that.
Right.
Now, these songs nowadays, total different. There's no quiet suburban type streets in North anymore either. But that's a different story. We're not talking about that. But, you know, that's the difference in how I grew up and what I was exposed to. So, you know, getting involved in all this stuff, that's my first introduction to ballroom and all that other stuff. So, you know, I moved down to Florida, nothing happening. I get involved in dance seriously. And one thing led to another. I got hired to do a one-night event with an artist, Sharon Jacob. And that was done down in Miami. I believe it was somebody's Marina something hotel, Marine Hotel, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And I met some people down there. They said they were starting a house. Don't ask me what the house name is. I don't remember. And they asked me to join, but I couldn't because I had just got hired to dance at the opera here in Chicago. So I moved here. Shortly thereafter, I met to meet the folks from Avant-Garde. Well, I met Aaron Enigma. And prior to meeting Aaron Enigma, I met Chris Fagan, who was one of the founding members of Avant-Garde. Aaron Enigma at that time was Avant-Garde. And that's kind of how I got exposed to them, meeting them, because Chris and I met inside of a club called Vortex. Vortex
and it was quite unique and cute. It had like this stainless steel metal floor, and it was like the spot to be seen in and all the other stuff. You know, the C Street had just closed, and we just getting our little dance life on there. And one of the people I had moved, a couple of friends of mine had Terry Michaels, and another friend, two other friends of ours from Florida moved up as well to Chicago. So we were all kind of like sort of roommates and stuff like that, trying to get it together. I'm going to go dance. That's why I came here, and they all came here to hang out. And she was about to do a show, trying to get into doing drag shows at the Baton, and I had helped her with her. I did the choreography for her shows down in Florida and then for here in Chicago. But that's kind of sort of how I met Chris at Vortex, and we battled. And it was like, I didn't battle Chris at first. It was like somebody else that came out, and we were just doing jazz dancing and club dancing. And one guy tried to Vogue, and I thought it was cute for him. But, you know, me being me, when it comes to dance and stuff like that, I'm very competitive. And I tore into him. He went back and got some friends. They came up. I went back with them. Me and Chris went back to back in terms of stretch. And then there was another person there. Did a lot of ballet training, but long story short, that's how I got involved and introduced to the House Avant-Garde. It was first through Chris, then later on through Aaron. Aaron had approached me to become a member, and I was like, well, I'm not even trying to hear that. I'm not trying to see it. I'm just all about dance. If I'm not getting paid, I ain't doing it.
All right.
Well, what's the proof? It is the proof. I mean, you know, a dancer's life is very short-lived. Anybody who has danced professionally will tell you that, and it's not as glamorous as people make it out to be.
Right.
So,
same in the entertainment
you got to be on the grind.
Same in the entertainment business.
Oh, yeah. I've been in the business for a while. I started singing. I actually thought I was going to end up being a singer.
Wow. I know that's right.
But
let me know.
Hey, it is what it is.
You know I be doing the girls' miracles.
No.
Just saying.
No.
But check it out. Give me a little bit about the Chicago history.
Well, that was about the basis of the beginning of the Chicago history from my point of view and from what I was exposed to was that at that time there was like Madonna's Vogue video had gotten big, Avant-Garde had entered, and I was not a part of that. They had entered the Vogue competition that was sponsored by MTV. I believe they came in the top 3, and they beat out quite a few people, and they won. So that's what kind of like was starting to put the house on the map. But what a lot of people don't know is that Avant-Garde had already formed. We were already doing paid performances throughout the city. So it's not like it was a new thing. I mean, we were sponsored by the radio stations here, doing fashion shows, the whole 9 yards. And the majority of the people that were recruited to be Avant-Garde were already established in their chosen careers in entertainment, whether it was being a fashion designer, models, quite a few dancers, vocalists. We covered the spectrum in entertainment. I mean, Avant-Garde was the house to be in. So I eventually did join. We did performances and stuff. We went, and this was about I think it was 87. But the founders of the house are Wardell, Tommy, Jonte, and I want to say Talani is a founding member. Tracy. Anybody after that, being myself, were the first generation. And I'm going to keep it cute now. A lot of people won't get mad, but I'm going to tell you the truth. It really wasn't the first generation who were known as the Voguers and the ballroom people, per se. Not that they couldn't Vogue or didn't carry like that, because Wardell carries. His Vogue is quite cute, and he's extremely creative. But the ones that you always saw in the club were Tyrone, who was the best one on an entire house. And there were only maybe 2 people who could beat him. And it wasn't on a regular basis. Aaron Enigma was one of them, and myself. Then there came Big Thomas. There was Michael Cook, who was sickening. He gave you face for days. I'm sorry, Easy. you and Kevin would have gagged.